Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Good morning. Wanted to share with you some information I just received from one of the two major Social Security, disability, and SSI advocacy groups, both of which I am a member. This one is Nader, and it's kind of important. It's going to apply to many SSI or concurrent SSI and SSD claimants. And in particular, it's going to potentially affect those that prevailed on their medical criteria. So they were found medically disabled, only to then be determined that they have too much income or resources. Now, as most of you know, you can remedy oftentimes the income and resources issue, because a lot of times it is where it's easily remedial, okay? And so they're usually losing out on SSI due to some tiny little thing that is completely unnecessary, and getting rid of it will not really change their wherewithal. There's just ways to do things, right? So let me just go into this. Apparently it's transmittal number 90 to DI 11055, dated 8/20/2024. And what I really wanted to point out was they note that the SSI technical, meaning income and resource rules, are complicated, and that it's not horribly unusual. Although for me, it's not very common because I kind of stay on top of this with my clients. But after months or years of work and stress on a claimant, they find that they're medically disabled. They've been found that way, but then lo and behold, they're ruled ineligible for SSI because of the excess income or resources. And, we have a lot of videos on the rental and what was the food that is no more recently at the bar. It could be gifted money. It could be a little bit of income being earned, etc. It could be lottery winning, whatever it is. And then the person gets denied because they don't meet. So if SSA, then they go into these different options. If SSA won't reopen the one, once they've cured the income and resources problem, if the SSA won't reopen, if all appeals were denied, and if they won't reverse that technical denial, but the technical denial, the impediment is now removed, so you're no longer in excess of income or resources, you have to file a new claim. However, they point out that a new medical decision is sometimes not needed, and the claim then would not go back to the DDS for medical review. So let's look at some of the things they say. If the following conditions are met, the field office should process and pay the new claim now that the income or resources have been corrected, and you have that medical award already, then they couldn't give it to you anyway because you are ineligible on the non-medical income and resources. They should process and pay the new claim if the following. Okay. A, of course, that you were found disabled. And then you were technically denied after. A new claim was required, which you did. The new claim is within 12 months of the prior medical allowance. That's really important. So if you get medically allowed and then you're denied because your resources and your income is too high, game over. I know they say you can appeal this, that, and the other thing, which is fine. But keep an eye on this 12 months, because if you just file a new one, they should grant you without you having to be medically adjudicated again and going through all that stuff at the DDS. CEs, being very vigorous with your medical visits, although you should always be doing that anyway because you're going to have CDRs. Another requirement, there is no payment history on the first claim. So it's not like they were paying you and then stopped because maybe then you became technically denied. Maybe you won, you were starting to get paid, and then you got a job, and it took you out of the SSI. There's no intervening work history at all as an apparent requirement. There is no indication of medical improvement. And by the way, gaps in treatment can be an indication of medical improvement. So you, as I always drive home, don't stop treating just because you prevailed on your medical award. And there's no MIE diary due within 6 months. MIE, medical improvement expected. That's that CDR diary. That's the one that they're going to really take a closer look versus somebody who is MINE, medical improvement not expected. And they do Nader points out that these types of issues arise with some frequency, and that's true. And it's always wise to carefully question yourself or your clients, if you're a rep, about income and resources. It's something that I drive home all the time. I do give clients sometimes who are not frank with me, or quite frankly, they forget that they need to keep me apprised at every turn. If you ever go back to work, if you ever get money, if anyone starts footing any of your bills, just walk it through me so that we can make sure it's not the kind of bill that would impede your SSI. Okay. That's while it's pending and or after, if we are still connected. But of course, generally, once we have an award and you start getting paid, we are done. They disconnect us from your claim, and which is fine since we're not going to get paid on it any further anyway. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I think that is super, super important that you can refile and not have to redo your medical workup if you just want it in the last 12 months and you're not working, amongst those other things I mentioned. But that's a big one, the working thing. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Guys, I'm going to share with you what you can expect when you are learning that you prevailed on your SSI claim. We've talked about this before, that you are going to have to go through something called a PERC. And it is that interview, generally on the phone, where they're going to ask you a lot of questions that are going to pertain to the financial, non-medical criteria that you have to establish now that you've established that you meet the medical. So now this is the non-medical, right? So by way of example, and I'm going to try to put up a redacted form of this so you can actually see the paragraphs I'm talking about. So they will say, we need more information to decide if we can continue to pay you SSI, notwithstanding the fact that they haven't already paid any. It is important that you do the following. The first one says, we have scheduled an appointment to call you on so-and-so date. In this case, it's a few weeks out. At so-and-so time, using the phone number that you gave us, and they list the phone number that you have given them when you are filing. Please let us know if this telephone number is wrong or if this is not a good time for you by calling this number. And that's their number with an extension, and ask for Mr. So-and-so. So that will be Mr. So-and-so's extension at the number in his office. Next paragraph. We have approved your medical claim for SSI. Before we can determine your eligibility for checks, we need to update the information in our computer. This includes a review of your claim lasting about 15 to 30 minutes. So that's what they're talking about, that telephone conversation you're going to have with them. Also, please have the following information available. This is where it gets important, guys. They do let you know that Social Security no longer mails paper checks. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that's true with the first one, but let's just go with it because you really should be doing this anyway. We require electronic payments. If you have a bank account, please have readily available the routing number and the account number. If you do not have a bank account, you may open one during our interview, or you may enroll in our Direct Express debit card during your interview. That's interesting. You may open one, meaning a bank account. Oh, no, prior to the interview. Sorry. Oftentimes, what that is referring to is some people don't have a bank account, or they don't have one they trust. Maybe they have bad debt and they're concerned with creditors getting liens on it. So they don't really want that SSI money going in there, because that can really make a conundrum where the SSI should not be grabbable. You know, accidents happen, right? So if they're putting a lien in an account that was never SSI, now suddenly there is, nobody's going to really know that. And the money can easily be, at least for a temporary time, which could be many, many months, in the wrong hands, and then getting them to pay it back is another problem. So you do want to be careful. I would recommend, if you have that kind of issue, go with the Direct Express debit card. So you'll have the debit card, and every month they're going to put the money on it, just as if they would direct deposit it into your bank account. And then if you eventually get a bank account that you know is reliable and safe, you can change it up, and then they'll start paying you that way. The other thing they want from you is proof of all living arrangements, including all addresses where you have lived since you filed for the SSI. Okay. And they want the names and the dates of birth of people living with you. Now, obviously, if you're living with people that you don't know very well, you might not know the date of their birth. So I don't know that they can hold that up if you don't have that, because that would be very unfair. Not to say unfair things don't happen, but just do your best to, have what they have. They talk about, it's kind of like a term of art, the names and dates of birth of people living with you. Now, what if you are in a boarding house and you're really just renting a room and you have like kitchen rights, or maybe no kitchen rights, and maybe you have a shared bathroom? Are you living with those people? I would like to think not. You're in your own separate household, but speak to them about it. Here's a big one, and we talk about this in other videos exclusively. If anyone has given you money, loaned you money, or paid bills for you since the date you applied, you will need to provide a written statement from them showing the dates, amounts, and type of assistance given. If it is a loan, it should show when and how much you must repay. Have them sign, date, and include a daytime phone number. This is really important. And I'm not sure this has been in all the letters in the past, because usually this stuff would take people by surprise. The important thing is to know that if you're given money versus loaned the money that you were given is going to be detracting for that same month, what your SSI can be for that month. So if someone gave you 200, you're going to have 200 or close to it not given to you that month for SSI retroactively. So if they owed you $800 for that month of that year retroactively when you first filed, now they would only owe you 600. So you want to, if it was loaned money, you and your lender, sometimes it's a family member, need to get on the same page and document it and have them sign it. You could sign it, whatever, but they have to sign it. And it's confirming that, yes, we had this loan arrangement. It started, back when, it's for this much, and da-da-da-da. This can be in kind too. If they were giving you shelter, that's when they talk about those living arrangements. If that shelter, because you didn't have any income because you were disabled and you were fighting an SSI case, if that shelter was loaned to you with the understanding that you would pay them back, once you got back on your feet, won the lottery, or won your SSI case and have a little bit of money coming in, that you would start to pay back, even if it was $10 a month. If it was a bona fide loan like that, even if it's verbal and not in writing, put it into writing now and say, ever since so-and-so date, we had this arrangement. He's going to loan me the shelter to keep a roof over my head. And then I would be paying him back slowly but surely as I got back on my feet, whether it's from whatever source. It's got to be from whatever source, a bona fide loan. Bona fide loan means, no, it's not conditional upon you getting SSI, because what if you won the lottery, $1 million, or an inheritance, or you recovered from your impairment and you could go back to work and now you have income? That loan still needs to be paid back. They are not going to oversee that you pay back a loan or don't owe anybody. That is not the point of this. The point of this requirement is to determine whether that money was free income to you that has to then take off of your SSI, or if it was a loan, in which case it doesn't take off of your SSI for all of those months. So figure it out. Recall what you guys did. If you didn't have it in writing, which a lot of people don't when they're friends or family, now you need to, in a unified, on the same page, remember back to when you made this arrangement and document it. And I mean, you could date the documentation, like the affidavit today, because that's when you're doing it today, but you're saying, ever since so-and-so date, we had this loan agreement. He was going to cover my rent, let me stay for free, which isn't for free, loan me the rents or the shelter. and I would pay them back. And let's say you figure it's $500 a month for that or whatever. You have to kind of figure all that out and get that on there. And if that loan was sufficient to cover what would be your kind of your share, but they're going a little less stringent on that. So as long as it's over that particular value that will change every year, which is about that 1/3 value, which I'm not going to go into here, but it's like under $400 right now. As long as it meets that, that means that you have been responsible for what you have to be responsible for to still get your full SSI. So the SSI will give you the shelter portion because you're going to be, paying shelter. Okay, so those are the things I wanted to point out. You have to be prepared. So I would have this stuff ready before the date of your PERC interview, the date that they put in the letter. Make sure you set your alarm and you're ready to answer that phone. Sometimes they screw it up. Don't be disappointed if they do, but be ready, be available, and make sure you have all these things on hand. As we said, it's the living arrangements, all the people that live there and their addresses, to the extent you have them. The more you can give, probably the better. And for sure, accounting for any money that was given to you or loaned to you. And they do also say, or paid bills for you since the date you applied. So if they paid the rent and your portion as well, and it wasn't a loan, then that's a gift, and that's going to be coming off the top. If they paid all the things that are considered utilities for survival purposes, those are things that if they were gifted to you, they're going to hurt your SSI. If they were loaned to you, and you will, one day be paying them back, and you guys have a kind of a verbal agreement, even if you don't talk about it anymore, but you did, that's where you're going to want to include that. They can pay some bills for you that don't implicate anything. Like someone can go buy you a cell phone, so you have one. They can pay your cell phone bill. They could put gas in your tank if you have a car. I think those things are not the ones that are going to, it's cash, shelter to a certain extent. Food is changing now, as you know, with the new rules. So that's good. You don't have to worry about that as much. And the utilities that are for this, the garbage bill, the water bill. Those are either loaned to you. If they're gifted to you, then that's going to be potentially subtracted from your SSI. Thank you very much. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I just got this sent to me by a client, which is very, very good news because I know that we prevailed on the SSI. And it looks like if everything goes right, he should have nearly 2 years of back benefits of SSI. So I really hope that can do him some wonders. I mean, it's not going to be $1 million, but it can certainly help, right? Okay, I am signing out now. I'm in North Carolina. One more day after this, working, and I don't know, it's pretty hot down here today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.